in some capacity throughout next year. We both have, I don't know how much. I've been a certified electrician since 2000. So I've had my license, and I started actually working in the trade in 1995. Not sure, Mike, you haven't been at it as long as I have, but
no.
And you actually took the course. I guess you can tell them a little bit about
Yep.
yourself, I guess. But
Yeah, I took this as the very first program we had at this campus in 2008. I think it started 2008, 2009, and I got my red seal in 2014. But my experience has been mostly travel related as far as in the electrical field. So we actually, between Roddy and I are a pretty good combo here, because Roddy he's done a lot of stuff for himself, but he did a lot of industrial work, and I've done a lot of other like commercial, and well, I guess you'd be travel related. I mean, we've covered pretty much all the spectrums together.
yes.
So
Yeah, most of my career was spent working as a contractor at the Michelin plants in Nova Scotia. So I've done a lot of industrial work and residential and commercial as well. So anyway, so we'll get on with, I have a PowerPoint that has stuff in it, some information and questions and things like that. And I'm kind of using that as a guideline to go through stuff, so you guys can get some information here about what it's all about. If you have any questions, you can, I don't know how many of you are familiar with using Microsoft Teams here or not, but there is a raise your hand button up at the top of your screen. If you hit that, then we can see you have a question. There's a spot where you might want, or I may say, anyone have any questions, fire away, because it's a little hard on here when you're trying to talk and getting cut off with a question, or it's hard to hear what someone's asking. If you want, you can also type it in the chat as well. The chat function works all right, but it's hard. It's kind of hard for me to kind of follow what I'm trying to do and follow the chat at the same time. But between Mike and I here, we should be able to handle it, I think. So I'm going to get this PowerPoint up here and share my screen with that. So that's what you'll be able to see, hopefully. How can I make this bigger? No. What does that look like, Mike?
everyone's icons at the bottom of the screen, and the get started thing is there. It's just not. It's just like the normal size of your video.
So okay, so it is a normal size. Okay, so everyone can see that. All right, because to me it looks it's in a presenter form here for me, which is again different than what we were using when we were teaching all this year on this stuff. So it's a little just a little looks a little odd to me. So this is oh, sorry, go ahead.
It looks good.
Okay, great. So this is Get Started, which is an introduction to what our course is here. Again, it's going to get you to meet us, which you already have kind of. I don't know how you really meet your classmates here, because it's not ideal on this at all. And find support services, which you guys probably already would have heard about in the student services presentation, I would guess. And you're definitely not going to find your way around the campus on this. So we're going to get into a typical work week with us, and I'll show you. This is the schedule. So this is an older schedule, of course. It gives you a rough idea. Basically, our days are mostly 8:30 till 2 o'clock, something like that. Most days 3:30 at the very latest, probably. You'll have again different classes with myself. Some of it will be in the classroom, like theory and learning how to use the code book, learning how to do things, and some discussions and stuff like that. And we will also be in the shop, which is a part of our classroom anyway. And hopefully in a little bit here, Mike's at the classroom in Spring Hill, so he can maybe do a little walk around with his laptop and we can show you a little bit about what it looks like. But our classroom and our shop are connected together. So we're back and forth between doing things in the shop and doing things in the classroom. And again, this is our typical schedule. So you'll see we have probably 5 to 6 classes a day you might have. We have a half-hour lunch, which you see on here. And again, this is subject to change. This is an older schedule. We used to have like a study, like meetings and stuff on Tuesday afternoons, and I'm not sure if that hasn't changed or isn't going to change to like Friday afternoons or something like that. But this is a typical schedule for us. You'll see a couple courses here. We have different semesters in our for our program. So we have a fall semester, a winter semester, and a spring semester. So in your fall semester, you're going to be doing a couple courses. So you'll do DC theory, and Mike actually teaches that. And you will have residential wiring with me, and you'll have tools 1 with me, which is like how to use tools and equipment and stuff about the code book. And what else is there? Blueprint reading is another one that we do in the fall semester. And there's also a math course, which is basic math skills. And it's, again, something that Mike teaches that will help you get ready to do the math that we do in the course itself. Was there anything else in that I missed? Maybe
there'll be comms in there somewhere.
Oh yes, communications as well as in there, which I think in this schedule shows on Thursday afternoons just 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that is that normal? Is it just 2
No,
hours?
I think it's a 4-hour course, I think.
I thought it might have been more too, but this is an older schedule that I got. Is again the schedule.
I think he froze again there. Yeah, the comms course, I think it was 4 hours. You get 2-hour sessions a week.
Yeah.
So, and like I said, this is a pretty, I think quite the schedule is a little bit more favorable this year than this looks like.
Yeah.
The good thing about this course is that you can pretty much manipulate it to how fits the class, right?
Yes. And again, this is a schedule that we are given, and by no means do we necessarily like have to spend 2 hours or an hour in this or an hour in that. We can change it around and make it work for us as a group, as long as we get in the right amount of time per course. That's all that matters. And every course is different. Like I think residential wiring is like 195 hours or something like that. Tools, equipment's probably like 120 or something. So things like that. So we can definitely mess around with that schedule. So it's asking teaching. So basically, typically what I do is we'll do classroom work and theory, and then I try and do things in the shop, or we do things in the shop that supports what we are trying to learn in the classroom with practical hands-on work in the shop. So basically we'll show you, or I'll show you stuff like how to skin wire, how to twist wire together, all the basics, how to use certain tools. We'll do safe work practices with tools and all the proper ways to use them. Again, I've developed bad habits over the years for sure, and I try not to teach you the bad habits, but I try and teach you the proper way to use the tools and stuff like that. So we try and do things in the class, and then we try and basically do some sort of labs to support what we're learning in the classroom in the shop, so that it might make sense. Most of us that get into trades, I think, are visual learners and like the hands-on aspect of the whole thing. So that's what we try and do. And again, I don't know if you heard Mike and I babbling, but we're both into coaching sports. Mike coaches some basketball and teaches golf, and I coach hockey and soccer, and some ball as well. So I tend to teach like a coach. I tend to build on, like, try and basically show you something that I want you to do and try and build on it and build on it and build on it until we basically have you going out the door in the spring, ready to start trying to work in the trade is what we're trying to do. So that's what we that's the way I kind of do things. And I don't know, I think Mike would probably agree with me. That's the way he would do things, very
Right.
similar.
Yes.
So they're saying some things to prepare for this program. So one thing or some things they're saying again is refresh your math, reading, research, and testing taking skills. Brush up on your computer skills. Make sure again, you guys, they probably talked about this in the student services, but you have like you'll have fees and things like that that you have to pay at certain points in order to even come to this course in the fall. You have different deadlines, so make sure you keep on top of that stuff this summer that you don't miss out on getting into the course. Sure. Courses to get into in the college overall. Every one of the programs are waitlisted. Some of them are waitlisted for 2 or 3 years. Like Ivan, he's waitlisted for 3 years, I think, right now. So you'll have to keep on top of all that stuff. You definitely will need computer skills. Most of our courses are also online. So we use a platform called Brightspace, and our courses are on Brightspace. That's where your marks will be inputted to, and a lot of assignments and things you may do, projects and stuff like that, can also be are also going to be submitted into Brightspace. You will do some quizzes on Brightspace and possibly some tests as well on Brightspace. So this year, as you're probably familiar with or know, we did mostly online learning with 1 day a week actually at the campus. So our class is so big, we could only have half of our class at the campus at one time. So it was split in two classes. So every Tuesday and Wednesday, I had half the students on Tuesday in Spring Hill and the other half on Wednesday. Everything else we did online here on Teams. Testing as well. All testing was done online. We even tried to do a couple presentations and projects Mike and I did online, and it didn't go so bad. So we may be doing some of this. Plus, it's kind of been thrown at us too that there's not too much in the line of snow days anymore. In the future, if we have a day that we can't get to the campus, it's not going to be a freebie anymore. We may have to go online and do something. I'm not saying that's 100% yet, but it's kind of a rumor that's floating around. So you'll have to be able to use the Teams and have computers and have access to this stuff. So be aware of that too. Again, most of you is, I guess, like reading, researching, and test taking skills are all something. We'll work on that stuff as well. I do the testing just like you do it in apprenticeship. So it's done it's all multiple choice for the most part. And sometimes you even use a bubble sheet in order to answer the questions. But again, we didn't do that this year because it was all done online. But if we're doing it in person, I may go back to that. Anything you want to add about math, Mike, where you teach math?
Yeah, the biggest thing was just make sure you're up to date on the academic math, because I mean we start a lot of the math like how to do, like the first couple months is kind of slow, so we start with basics like fractions and decimals and order of operations and stuff like that. So for some of you that it may feel like it's slow, but it speeds up fast. Like we don't spend I try not to spend too much time on that. I just want to cover, so just be ready to move fast with the math, because I don't want to spend half the semester talking about addition and subtraction when we really need to focus on how to calculate circuitry, right? So just really brush up on that stuff, because it will move fast at the beginning. I won't leave you behind, but yeah, you really want to have a little bit of understanding on some academic math. It helps out.
Exactly. All right. So some program requirements they talk about. So you'll see the word milestones and portfolio attendance. They talk about well, some safety milestones, but I'll flip to the courses and stuff here, or the milestones in a minute. Um, and it talks about courses being prerequisites for other courses. So basically, if you take if you take residential wiring in the fall, and for some reason you're not successful, you didn't pass it. Well, in order to take commercial wiring in the second semester, you have to pass residential wiring. So if you don't pass that, then you can't continue on to commercial wiring. Tools 1 and 2 are not the same way because they're two different courses. Apparently, we talked about that in our faculty working group. But there is prerequisites for some of our courses, and in order to continue on with some of them in the second semester, you have to be successful in the first semester. That being said, a pass mark is, which I didn't mention, is 60 in our course. So everything is a 60, has to be 60 or better. So there is milestones. Portfolio, I'm not going to talk, Mike, you're going to have to talk about that because it's really your big boy, I think. But one is the attendance thing. So in our course, technically we aren't allowed to keep attendance or use it against you in any way or anything like that. So, or like use it as a mark. But attendance is very important in our course. You'll find if you miss a day or 2 or 3 or whatever, you're going to fall behind really fast because it is as much as it's a 1-year course, and it's not like we're full throttle all the time, but it is busy, and if you miss a couple days, you will fall behind very quickly, and you won't be able to get caught up in your shop labs and things like that. And it's going to be next thing you know, it's going to be Christmas time, and you're still coming to class when everyone else is done, trying to get those things done because you missed a few days. But if you come every day and show up on time and do the work that we ask you to do, you'll have no issues at all. It'll be a piece of cake. If you don't want to do the work and you don't pass things in on time and you don't show up on time, it's not going to help you any. And we're trying to get you ready to go work in the workforce. And again, in the real world, if you're not showing up on time to work and things like that, you're not going to have a job very long. At least not in trades anyway. I don't know what it's like if you're working in retail or at a mall or something like that anymore, but if you're working in trades and you're not showing up and doing what's asked of you, you're probably not going to have a job for very long. So attendance is a big thing, and we do pay attention to it. I document everything, whether you're late or leaving early or whatever the case may be, because I do have a mark that I put in for every course, and it's called Professional Employability Mark. And it is based on stuff like attendance and how you get along with each other and how you treat tools and how hard you work and things like that. So it is all important. So you want to talk a little bit about portfolio, Mike?
Yeah, just real quick, I guess. I mean, so the portfolio is a communications requirement, which has not been done for 2 years now because of the COVID pandemic. They've kind of eliminated the portfolio for the last 2 years. However, we still do all the work that goes in there, which is stuff like your resume, cover letters, and pictures from your shops your shop assignments that you do, so that we could see your progression, how you started in this course and how you finished it, with how neat your works looking, stuff like that. So portfolio is pretty handy. It's used to help you maybe help you get a job in the future. You can show people the stuff that you've done, put your certificates. So when we do our fall arrest course, you get a certificate. That's something you might put in your portfolio. So that's stuff that we will do in comms if they don't cancel it again as a requirement.
Yeah.
So, but the last 2 years they haven't had to do that. This year I don't know yet, but as of now we're going to assume that we have to. So yeah, it's just something like kind of like a binder that we put together that has all your work in it, basically.
Yeah. All right. So the next slide is your milestones that I put in here. So these are the milestones that you are going to have to do next year. So some of these, again, this year, they were mostly all done online and self-directed, except for the certified fall arrest and
Getting longer and longer.
and there goes my internet again.
Yeah.
Oh my. Okay, so WHMIS, introduction to WHMIS and the OH&S. I believe you guys will get an email with a link to do those before you even come to school in September. It was always done that way in the past, and I believe you'll get it again beforehand. Again, these courses are on Brightspace is where they will be, and those two courses have to be done before, basically I always have it so before the end of September, they have to be complete or else you cannot be in the shop. Then you have introduction to confined space, introduction to hazard identification, introduction to lockout and tagout, and certified fall arrest. So Mike actually teaches the certified fall arrest because I'm not qualified or I don't have the course in order to teach it. Even though I've taken the course 1,000 times myself, I don't have the certification to teach it. So Mike got to take that when I was actually on leave, so he's going to be the one that'll probably teach us that. The rest of them, again, in the past I have taught them in class. I'm not sure if I'll be doing that again this year or if it's something you'll be doing on your own on Brightspace. We'll figure that out. Then the last one is Workplace Mentoring 1, which is something we do in the winter semester just before you go on work placement. You will do that one, and that's a self-directed thing as well. All of these things you see right here, these milestones are requirements for you to graduate from this course. If you, for some reason, do not complete any of these, you will not graduate. And some of them are kind of silly too, but they have to be done. Also in here, which is not shown, we didn't do it this year, but we also usually do a CPR course. And that is something that is usually required to work in our trade, is to have that, but it's something that costs you more money over and above your tuition. So if we do and it's always been a requirement from the course for you to do it. So you would have to pay, I think it's like $100 to $120 extra in order to take the CPR course. If you already have it and it's good for the duration of our course, then you don't have to do it again if you don't want to, as long as you have proof and it is the right level. Then you can not do it, or if you have the chance to take it through a business that you work with now this summer or something like that, I definitely recommend it. Then it will save you the $120. But if not, you're going to have to take it when we do it in the school. Again, the last 2 years, because of COVID, it was actually waived, and they didn't. You didn't have to do it, but it will be a requirement probably for you guys in the fall. So that would be another thing that would be added to these as well. So I guess any questions so far, or is everybody not putting everybody to sleep, hopefully? All right, so we're going to get into textbooks and some equipment and stuff. So like it says here, check with your instructor before buying used books. I do have a slide here right after this that lists the books that we require for our course. The problem with our course is some of our books are dependent on the Canadian Electrical Code, and the Canadian Electrical Code changes every 3 years. So this year, again, we just finished up, so we have a brand new code book coming in this year. So some of the books that we need this year, you will have to buy them brand new whether you want to or not, because they're based on the 2021 code book. Students last year could have bought used books from other students because it was based on the 2018 code. You won't be able to do that for some of them. Now, if you can get a Delmar book used or blueprint reading book, those are all right, but you're going to have to buy the code book, and residential wiring and commercial wiring are going to have to be purchased brand new. One thing we did this year is we've changed the way we're doing books. They used to have to be purchased in a bundle, a bunch of them, and they wouldn't break up the bundle. So if you did happen to have a book or two or buy some used books, you couldn't purchase the ones that were in the bundle without buying the whole bundle. We have changed that, so now you can purchase each book individually. Roughly all the books that we require for our course for the whole year will cost you roughly $1,000. I think I calculated to 998.75 when I did some math the other day. Again, that's newer pricing that we got this year by doing some changes. So books are going to be roughly $1,000 for books. It's saying when to buy them. So again, if you can get a couple of them used, then you can go ahead and buy them. But we have, when you guys come to school in the fall, in September, we have a bookstore, and there will be times allotted in the first couple of weeks for us to go up and purchase books. The bookstore does take cash, credit cards, whatever. If you are a sponsored student, some of them are covered, some of them aren't. That can be a problem sometimes, is figuring out where your money is and when you have your money. But again, if you can be prepared to buy your books in the first couple of weeks of school, then that's the best time to do it. You can buy them earlier at other bookstores. Actually, I don't think you can, because rumor I heard the other day was a lot of these the books I was just mentioning, residential wiring and commercial wiring, haven't even been produced yet and won't be until August. So you're not going to be able to get them yet anyway. So if you're smart, I would hold off on buying your books until you come to school, is the best thing to do, in my opinion. I did have a student this past year whose mother went out and bought a bunch of used books, and again, spent a fair bit of money on them, but they were books from 2015, and it kind of caused some problems for the student, because his books, yes, they had most of the same information, but they were outdated and some of the code stuff was different and stuff like that. So if you want to save yourself a little bit of grief, I would wait and purchase the books at the school, or at least wait until September. Again, if you live in Halifax or something like that and you want to go to the Ivany campus or go to Akerley and buy them, by all means you can. They should have most of the same books. We're supposed to be using all the same books across the province, according to the meeting we just had not long ago. So you should be able to get them anywhere in the province, as long as the bookstore has them. Student kit and equipment. So again, a couple slides from now, I have a list of tools that we require and some value to them as well. I think roughly, if you bought good, like Klein Tools, which is one of the best name brands for electrical tools, you're looking at roughly $500. Do you need to buy Klein Tools or buy brand new tools? You absolutely don't. If you have some tools kicking around home already, or have been dabbling with some screwdrivers and pliers and stuff like that, as long as they're not damaged or don't have any real bad wear to them, then by all means you can use them. But if you need to purchase tools, then I have a list here, which we'll show you in a few minutes. So just flip to the book list. So this is a book list right here. And again, I don't know if you guys can, maybe if you have your phones with you, snap a picture of it, but these are the books that we will be using in our course with the ISBN numbers if you want to search to see about buying them elsewhere or whatever the case may be. Like I said, right now the Canadian Electrical Code is brand new. The electrical wiring commercial and electrical wiring residential are brand spanking new, and I know you can get the code book, but you cannot get those other two yet. The Delmar textbook, again, of electricity, 7th edition is recommended, but I think, and maybe you can agree or disagree with me, Mike, but if you can find a 5th or a 6th edition, they will still work as well.
Yeah, I think they still work. There's some of the chapters might be a little different, but
I think the chapters are off by 1 or 2 compared to the 7th edition, but the information is still there. So
yeah,
if you happen to have one or can get a Delmar that is used and it's a 5th or 6th edition, it could save you a few bucks. I think that textbook runs around $200. So it might be you might be able to get it cheaper, then by all means. Everything else there again is pretty much up for grabs. The practical math one, you could get that one as well used, I'm guessing, and the print reading for residential construction you could too. We've only been using that book for like 3-4 years maybe, so there might not be many of them around, but and again, these books, if you guys are going to move on through apprenticeship when you're done with this course, you get a job and you start apprenticeship, you are going to use most of these books in apprenticeship as well. The only bad thing is, like I said, is the electrical wiring books and the code book will change every 3 years. So you may have to purchase them again at some point in apprenticeship, but other than that, the rest of these books can be used right through. You notice, Mike, we got rid of the orange motor control book?
Oh, nice.
Gone.
Save some money.
Yes. Really wasn't useful anyway, so that's the list of books with the ISBN numbers. So if you can find those ISBN numbers or check them out if you want to. But like I said, the best place to buy them is at the school. From what I understand, the school doesn't mark up the books either. You're paying what the book people are selling the books to us for. So it's not like we're not making any money off books at the school, from what I understand. So I don't think you'll find them any cheaper unless it's a used book. You're not going to find it any cheaper than what you're getting it from us anyway. And here's a list of tools. So this would be a generic list that I had put together a few years back when I started, because people are always asking. That's one of the biggest questions I think we get from students when we are doing Get Started was, what do we need for tools, or what's a tool list? So this is a basic tool list. So you have linesman pliers, should be 9 inches, diagonal cutters, needle nose pliers, channel lock pliers, screwdrivers, so an assortment of Robertson's 1, 2, 3, or red, green, black, handles, Phillips, slot. Terminating screwdriver would be a small slot screwdriver. Drill bits for cordless drills. So again, we have all the power tools at the campus in our tool crib. So we have impact drivers and cordless drills. We have corded drills. We have circular saws, jigsaws, you name it. We have all that stuff, so you don't need to buy any of that. That being said, if you have a cordless drill that you really love using and you want to take it and use it at the school, by all means you can. It's just something else you might have to lug back and forth, but we have all that stuff. You need these basic tools here that's on this list. So you do need drill bits for those drills though, because I don't have very many of them kicking around and they get lost and broken and everything else. So you have to buy those yourselves. Pair of wire strippers, measuring tape that should have metric and standard. I'd recommend metric and standard on the measuring tape because we do deal with both. Our code book is in metric. Unfortunately, most of what we do in the trade seems to be standard, but where I worked at Michelin, everything there was metric, so I kind of used a metric standard tape all the time. But that's what I'd like to see you have. Magnetic torpedo level, hacksaw, claw hammer, knife that's a locking blade knife, and a multimeter. Again, that gives you a minimum of AC 30 amps, 300 amps, 600 volts. So basically a class 3 or higher is what you're looking for in a meter. And you can go to Canadian Tire and buy one, which would be fairly cheap, but your best bet is to buy one, spend about $120-ish on one is what you'd spend like on a decent Klein clamp-on meter. Then you need a tool pouch or a bag or a toolbox, whichever one you prefer to have. Hard hat and safety glasses are required. We don't need a hard hat in the shop. If we do any work outside, we require hard hats. We do require safety glasses in the shop at all times. And safety boots are also something that is required to be in the shop. So that's the basic requirements of what you would need in your toolkit. On the next page here, this is a list of tools, and these are all Klein tools that was put together at Rexel. So you can buy this at any Rexel. At least last year we could. And you're looking at all this stuff. So it's Klein, and it gives you a drill bit and hacksaw and whatever else for 458.75. And these are some of the best tools you could buy in our trade. Several of my students this year purchased these tools and these kits from Rexel and really liked them. So just again, another thing, I'm assuming they will offer the same thing this year. I cannot guarantee that the price will be the same, but this is what the price was this year. So workload and evaluation. So basically, again, we do assignments. We do the odd group work. We might have a project, so we do some we'll do a tools project where you might work as a pair or a group of 3 maybe, or something like that. So you do a little bit of project work. We definitely do projects in the shop, so you'll be doing those, and most of them are done individually. Most of the work, or what I try and do, is do all the work at the school. So I don't assign a whole lot of homework, like to make you do things at night or anything like that. Most of the time I try and give you time to do it in school. That being said, there might be a project or an assignment that you have to do at home and send it in, but the majority of it, you should have time to do it at school. I don't give a whole lot of homework, like I said, so we try and do everything there. We have several quizzes, several tests per subject or per course per semester. We don't do a lot of presentations. Like I said, I do one, and Mike usually joins in on it with me because it's part of your communications course as well. We'll do several quizzes. Most of them will be on Brightspace. So you'll do them there, and it'll be based on like a chapter that we might do out of one of those workbooks or something like that. So there'll be lots of quizzes, lots of lab things that we do. Your labs are all marked as well as we go. I mark them as we go, and I really got to work on being a little harder on those things and being a little more specific on you guys and a little harder on you guys. But we do the labs and mark them as well. And it says here, are you able to work part-time? I know lots of students I've had in the past have worked part-time, evenings or weekends for sure, because again, I don't load you up with a whole lot of homework. And again, if you come to class and do the work I ask you to when we're at school, you won't have a whole lot that you have to do at home. I'm not saying there won't be the odd project or something like that, but most of it will be done in class at the school. Anything to add to that, Mike?
No, I mean, I think I'm about the same way. For me, I always expect if you can show up and put a little effort in, you shouldn't, like, I'm not looking to fail. I don't think anyone here is looking to fail somebody,
No.
as long as you put some effort in. And I think, like Roddy said, if you just show up and do your work and don't procrastinate, you'll pass this course easy.
Yeah, the only thing, again, the biggest thing is there is deadlines, stuff like that. So if we say something's due on Monday at 8 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock on a Monday, then that's when it's due. And anything after that becomes late and is subject to penalties and stuff like that for some marks off, and then could be up to a 0. Same with missing tests and stuff without any information or communication with myself or Mike. If we don't know and you just don't show up for a test, then the way it's set up is that's actually a 0. Sure, we could definitely talk about it and see if we can figure something out. There's things that come up and you might not be able to write the test, but as long as you make arrangements with myself or Mike beforehand, then we can get it straightened out. But if you just don't show up for a test, then that's a problem. Again, tips for success, talking about refreshing some of those skills again. Attending class, be on time and be prepared, like we've kind of already said. Seek help from your instructor if you're falling behind. So again, I'm pretty sure I could speak for Mike and myself. If you need any help with anything, come ask us, or you're struggling with something, come talk to us. If we can't help you, there is people in student services, whether it's a counselor or tutoring or anything like that. They do a lot of peer tutoring, and people, like, we may find some of you guys as students are excelling and doing very well at whether it's math or some of the electrical stuff, and someone's not, then you could possibly sign up to tutor and actually get paid to do that, which is a bonus, and do a little bit of work with someone that's struggling. So again, just communicate with us if you have any issues or whatever the case may be, and we will help you out, or try to help you out. If we can't do it, we can definitely direct you to the right people. Again, there's talk about student services here. There's a lot of what's the word? A lot of help, I guess, up there. There's a lot of people that can help you, whether you're having things physically or emotionally problems or anything like that. There's people that can help you with that stuff. There's also all kinds of things that we do throughout the year. There's different events that we'll do. Again, we didn't get to do that stuff this year. We did a couple events on Brightspace on Teams here, but it's again not quite the same. But there's several things that we will do throughout the year as well, and hopefully you can will be taking part in that stuff. I noticed again a lot of you guys on my list, guys and gals, are from Halifax County, so I'm thinking quite a few of you are going to be staying in the Spring Hill area. So something else you got to get on is your like rental properties and stuff like that. There's all kinds of them up there, I guess, and several students from other courses. Utility line workers, another one that a lot of people come up and live up there for the school year, and a lot from our class has in the past as well. So don't leave that to the last minute, because stuff disappears pretty quick. It's talking about balance again, balancing your schoolwork and student life. So again, try and connect with people in the building. Like, you'll definitely be connecting with Mike and I, because we'll be seeing you every day, but there's lots of facilities workers in the school that like to talk and chat with you and help students out. All the staff at the business office and stuff are very helpful. And again, you'll find that everywhere at NSCC, you'll get lots of support, and everybody wants to help and make your year a success. So don't hesitate to, again, ask for any advice or help or whatever the case may be. And there's lots of things here, and they might have talked about this in student services, but we have some breakfast programs at the school where they have some, I don't know, muffins and cheese and yogurt and juice boxes, stuff like that you can get in the mornings before school. We have a cafeteria, of course, but you have to pay for that. There is food banks, and there's other student services or student, what's the thing they call that, Mike?
What is that?
Basically funding. There's some funding and stuff. So if someone's having some trouble with some money and can't get some groceries or whatever, they have some stuff there that they can help you out with some funding possibly, or whatever the case may be. But we have all kinds of that stuff in place.
Urgent aid.
Urgent aid, that's exactly what it is, right? So there's an urgent aid fund that they can get money from that could possibly help you out if you need it, things like that. They do have a medical and dental plan, which you'll get all kinds of emails about that in the fall as well, or all through the summer. I can honestly say I don't know much about it, but I think you're signed up with it unless you opt out of it. So whether you want it or not, you got to opt out. Working in this field, so electrical, as far as I know, even with the pandemic going on, electrical, there's jobs all over the place. There's been several of my students from this year they just are finishing up work terms, or just did finish up work terms, and several of them have employment. So they are working, which is great. There is lots of employment here in Nova Scotia if you want to stay here. There's also lots all over the country. There's lots in the US, like Mike himself traveled to the US quite a bit to work, traveled out west to work, and all kinds of stuff. So depending on what you want to do, but there is all kinds of job opportunities in the electrical trade. There's a lot of people retiring as we speak. So there is lots of opportunities if this is what you figure out that is what you want to do. There is plenty of work to be had here, right here in Nova Scotia.
Unfortunately, we're not the ones retiring yet.
No, we're not. But we kind of stepped out of it anyway because we're into the teaching instead of the actual working on tools.
That's right.
So there is lots of opportunities in a lot of trades. So here's my contact information. So again, if there's something you want to know throughout, of course, technically in a couple of weeks' time, we're done for the summer, but I'm always available through email. And my email is on this card, which is roddy.mclean@nscc.ca. So if you ever have any questions about something, you can definitely email me. Or if you contact the school throughout the summer, somebody there will contact me through email. I don't recommend calling this phone number because it is the office phone number at Spring Hill campus, and I am not there. I actually live in Hilden in the Truro area, so I travel back and forth, and I'm not in Spring Hill all summer. Mike just lives a hop, skip, and a jump from the school, so make him do all that stuff.
Yeah, really calm down now.
But that is my contact information there if you need to get a hold of me anytime throughout the summer. Email's the best way. I think the rest of this stuff is just questions and things like that. So I guess, does anybody have any questions? I might stop sharing this.
No questions?
No questions? Must have did a good job. Can I still see this thing up here? I can't seem to get rid of it.
What kind of math would you practice? I'd say for at least the first semester, it's very, very basic. I don't even think we would get into any algebra really. We're going to be doing there'll be some multiplication of decimals and maybe some division. Really, we'd be focusing on what they call Ohm's law, which is just addition, subtraction, multiplication, division. But when we start getting into our winter term, that's when we start to get a little bit more of algebra formulas, trigonometry. We might start touching base on trigonometry towards the end of the first semester, but I'd say for the most part, if you just brush up on your order of operations, working on your math, your addition, subtraction, multiplication of decimals, and stuff like that. That's about all you really need at the beginning. And we'll start teaching the stuff we need for the second semester at the end of the first semester. So that's why I'd say focus on that for now. You want to do a walkthrough real quick?
Yeah, sure. Why don't you I'll turn off my camera. You can turn yours. Mike will do a little walkthrough of the shop and the area that we work in there so you can kind of see it where we can't be there.
Let's see here. Look at this. Turn my camera on. Nope, I don't want to share my screen. Maybe I have to spotlight myself.
Can you just walk around with your laptop and hold the camera?
Yep, I'm gonna. Yeah. We'll start up here. You just tell them what we're looking at.
So really, can you tip? There you go. So there's a classroom right there. So again, there's all the desks in the front of the classroom with the whiteboard and stuff up there. Again, we didn't get to use that a whole lot this year.
No,
so we weren't in the classroom a whole lot. When we were in the shop, we were literally in the shop working on projects. So that would be your classroom right there. And if you
can't get
turn
in.
there, then we're heading towards the shop, which is right there. So on the left, you'll see there's like 10 booths, I believe. Most of these booths are shared by 2 people. So we'll be doing things, you do residential wiring stuff in here. So we'll be drilling holes, and this may look a little different because there's a possibility it may change or be redone by next fall. We'll have our fingers crossed for that one, but see what happens. But this is where you'd be working in the shop doing residential wiring and putting up panels and mounting boxes and pulling wire and doing all that stuff is all done in here. And we got some storage racks there with a big mess and our ladders. And when we go around the corner there, we'll see some pipe and a little mock-up of a service entrance and a bunch of storage cabinets that are going to be used. And then you'll see these here bins on the wall. You see the bins for wire there, but then there's those gray cabinets on the wall. That's where most of our stuff's stored right there.
Yeah, you got. Well, this one's better.
Yeah. A lot of the materials we use for residential wiring is in there, and some of our pipe fittings and stuff. Everything has a home, believe it or not, but it gets tends to get a little messy, but we try and keep her clean. But and then we have some, these are motor control booths here where we do motor control stuff, and you'll do some wiring and start stop buttons and starting and stopping motors and forward and reversing and all that stuff. Again, some of this may change by the time you guys get there in the fall. And then there's some lab bolts that we use as well, which are stuff we acquired from the electronics shop that closed up there in the Amherst site. But we'll be using those as well, and some benders, and
Where's the big bender?
it's around the corner from you, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of stuff you see. Some of it might be familiar, but some of it might be totally foreign to you. But by the time we're done with it, you'll know what it all is.
Right. Oh, and your new eye wash station.
Oh yes, the new sink and eye wash station. Some pretty.
Yeah. Not too much to see, but
No,
it's bigger than it walking than when you're in here.
it is one of the bigger spaces at the school, believe it or not.
Anyway, that's
So I guess if anyone doesn't have any questions, that's really all we have. Again, normally our class sizes are roughly 20-ish, 20 to 23 people. I guess it could be 20 to 25 people, but normally they usually tap out about 20 students each year. When we start out, you might have 1 or 2 disappear right off the bat, but we that's usually what we start with is 20-ish students. So yeah, so again, if you have any questions, check out, you can send me an email or call the school, and they can definitely get a hold of me or answer your questions. And other than that, I look forward to seeing you in the fall.
Yeah, have a good summer.
Yeah. I'm going to stop the recording.